see, I'm VAMSHI. I've been a partner at Kalaari right now. Prior to this, I've been born and brought up in Hyderabad, spent a few years back in US and came back in 2006, 2007. Started my own company here in Hyderabad, actually, Apalya Technologies Ani. We're primarily into video streaming and running OTT services. Pretty much ran that for almost 15 years and then exited that business post-pandemic and decided to kind of move to the other side, which is primarily on the venture capital side, and joined Kalaari as a partner over here. So that's been my journey. Primarily, spent a lot of time on being an entrepreneur, and then now into venture capital side and trying to help companies bring my operational experience into the venture capital world. It started in 2006 and the journey has been long. We are the only India-based fund right now as we speak, but we have been the very early funds to come into India and set ourselves up, and have been pioneering this space in a sense when we actually started off as an India fund. Kalaari philosophy is pretty simple. We look at young entrepreneurs, early stage companies, and try to invest in them and actually help and build grow these companies. So that has been the philosophies all the way through, and will remain as such all the way through. So typically any venture capital fund, of course, typical funds raise capital from limited partners. Basically, these are individuals or firms which actually invest in venture capital firms. So just like any other, just like how we invest in companies, there are LPs who invest in venture capital firms, and it's a similar kind of equation where we have to return the capital to the LPs. So typically that's how any venture capital ecosystem works. Our current LP is Reliance for this fund, which is a fund 4. Basically, we are investing out of that. Typically that's how the structure of the funds work. We actually come in very early on. So our investment philosophy and thesis has always been to come in pre-seed and seed and Series A kind of a stage, and then we follow up with the investments. If we see traction and growth for the companies, we follow up with the Series B and Series C investment also. So typically it's very early stage. Our check sizes typically run from $1 million to $5 million kind of a range. So typically that has been our investment thesis and strategy. There's a lot of them actually. Most of them you might be familiar with. We had early on, we had good companies which are still a part, which have been a part of Kalaari portfolio. Like we had Myntra, which we started off with. We had Snapdeal earlier on. In our current portfolio, if you look at it, there's a lot of companies from B2B to direct to consumer, but the latest investments which I think most of them can relate to is Dream11, which is the largest investment, which actually is a fund returner for us. So that's been a great investments, out of which we had actually returned a lot of capital to our investors last year. It's exciting for me to be in Hyderabad and trying to see what we can do here for this ecosystem. So since I had joined here, we have done a few investments. We started off with an investment into a music edtech company called Musical, which is into music vertical training. Then we had another company here which is into providing in-home fitness health tech device, basically. The company called Portal, which is also based out of Hyderabad, run by some great founders over here. And we have another gaming company which we recently invested called Atirath, which is into building strategy games based on Indian mythology. So these are the few investments which we have done in Hyderabad. I don't think for India it's making a lot of difference. I think since everyone is talking about the funding winter, I think we almost gotten almost $5 billion committed to India from some different funds, right, within the ecosystem. So I don't think there's much happening in that sense from the Indian ecosystem perspective. Yes, I think things have slowed down a bit in terms of how we look at companies, how we look at founders and the growth and everything. But I think as such, there's a lot of capital available. When it comes to Kalaari as such, because we are a very early stage company, we feel that for us it has not been much of a difference. I don't think there's any change in terms of how we are investing and how we would like to invest in the next couple of years. When it comes to early stage, I don't think there's any change from an early stage funding as such. I think from an opportunity standpoint, I think what we are really looking at is the new age technologies like Web3 and blockchain that are coming into play. I think it's a really early stage, but I think there's a lot of changes that are going to happen from the current solutions which are being provided, whether it's commerce or fintech or B2B as such. I think a lot of these elements of Web3 are going to come into these solutions. So I think we feel that we are looking at opportunities which actually evolve out of Web3 and crypto as such, right? So I think blockchain, crypto, Web3 is something which is always going to be exciting. Of course, it's going to take a little longer. We don't believe that it's going to happen overnight as such, but we feel that it's the right thing and it's going to take a little bit of time. But we really believe that there's an opportunity out there. I think for us, for me, I think it's just been when you're starting off, you're really struggling to find out what exactly you want to do. The challenge an entrepreneur always faces is that once he becomes an entrepreneur, he starts seeing a lot of opportunities. So I think the key becomes is, can you focus on one small thing and try to solve it rather than trying to solve a lot of things, right? So I think the challenge always is with entrepreneurship is that, till you get in, there's a problem, but once you get in, you see a lot of opportunities and then start running out of the different opportunities. So I think the key is to just focus and actually kind of derive value with whatever investment you might have, however small it might be, and show a product market fit. And I think, and keep it simple and keep it small and start executing on those small things. I think that's what I would advise folks who want to start.